Week 2, Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the Super Bowl defending champions, Philadelphia Eagles. And just like I predicted last week, Tampa Bay got that W. Just as I predicted, Tampa's coming out firing on all cylinders. The fans gonna be there. The fans gonna be hype. I know Philly had a bunch of fans there, but they were quiet most of the game. Fitzmagic came out the gate, 75-yard bomb to Deshaun Jackson, set the tone all day. The defense balled out for the most part, held the Eagles down until it was crunch time. You know, those trash numbers that Foles was down there slinging it. Too late. Didn't matter at that point. What an adrenaline rush. Tampa Bay squeaked out a 27-21 point win against the Eagles. Where's all the analysts now? Everybody was talking about, oh, the Bucs might be 1-3 with Jameis. Once Jameis got suspended, it became, oh, they're going to be 0-3. Ain't no way they're going to win one. If they win one, it's going to be all luck. 2-0. Right to start the season. First time since 2010. Talk about that. Let me see what the analysts got to say now, because last week after we beat the Saints, all I heard was, oh, they're going to lose to the Eagles. They definitely can't beat the Eagles. That Eagles defense. Well, where was that defense? 2 75-yard touchdowns, Deshaun Jackson, O.J. Howard, come on, where was that defense? The D-line so ferocious, they're going to push Fitzpatrick off his spot. Where? I think what, we gave up 2 sacks total? That's it? Come on, you can't tell me. No. Tampa Bay came in this game. I know, I got some quarrels with them. Always bringing it down to the wire. Got to give us all anxiety and heart attacks. I'm not going to lie to you. When we had the ball on our last drive and we had to milk clock and get those first downs, I was like, that extra point we missed is going to hurt us, because Philly's going to go down and win by 1. Because, can you blame me though? Tampa Bay's always been the team to take a lead and in the fourth quarter choke it away. But we've gotten 2 wins in the fourth quarter by holding it down, offense doing their part, and the defense holding out when we needed them to the most. Great game. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm so hyped right now. I know when the schedule came out last year, I was like, it's gonna be a tough start. Toughest NFL schedule start in the Super Bowl era, and we 2-0. Who would have predicted that? Come on. Like, for real. Tampa Bay, Buc Nation, let's get hype. Let's continue supporting this team, and let's make sure they start out 3-0. 3-0 on these haters, you know what I'm saying? So let me go into the 3 winners of the game. Number 1, once again, Todd Monken, calling a hell of a game. The run game wasn't doing so well, but that passing game, Todd Monken's got to be our team MVP for real. Like, moving forward, as long as we keep winning in the fashion that we do, all those explosive plays. I'm not trying to say Dirk Cutter wasn't a good play caller, but Dirk Cutter wasn't taking shots like this. Monken is not afraid of airing that ball out and letting Fitzmagic throw that thing down the field and get us those quick touchdowns. That first play of the game, 75-yard touchdown, come on, you can't even defend that. I know Deshaun usually goes off against the Eagles whenever he plays them, so I'm glad he's on our side of this game. The second winner of the game is Ryan Fitzmagic. 27 completions, over 400 yards again, 4 touchdowns. I think he's leading the league right now with over 800 yards and 8 touchdowns. Like, who would have thought Fitzpatrick would come in there and dominate? Like, we all thought he'd be a decent game manager, kind of dinking and donking, not really hurting us, but not really winning it for us either, letting our playmakers do it. But he's carrying the team right now. He's carrying the offense. Deshaun Jackson, 4 receptions, 130 yards, I want to say, and a touchdown. Mike Evans, 80-some yards and a touchdown. Chris Godwin, 50-some yards and a touchdown. O.J. Howard, like 90 yards and a touchdown. Like, he spread that ball around. Everybody got to eat. Everybody got to score. Everybody got their yards. Like, this offense, because of Monken and just the way the offense is constructed with all our weapons, we're going to be a very, very hard team to defend moving forward. Even with our run game struggling and not really carrying its end, we just have too many weapons. Who are you going to double? Deshaun? Okay, Evans is open. OJ's open. Godwin's open. Humphreys is open. What are you going to do? Play zone? All right, we're going to catch you in open spaces and we're going to get those yards after catch. There's literally no way to defend a team with this many weapons. Honestly, in my opinion, we have 3 number 1 receivers. Deshaun Jackson, Mike Evans, and Godwin are all number 1 receivers. And then we got a tight end who you can argue is going to be one of the top tight ends in the league with O.J. Howard. His speed, that 75-yard touchdown he broke away, and Chris Godwin down the field, blocking for him, like, that was a perfectly set up play. I don't even think they were intending it for it to go that deep and, be that long of a touchdown, but I'm happy for it. I'm not complaining. The third winner, I know, defense. Defense usually struggling, but our front 7. We got like 3 sacks on the Eagles, constant pressure. I know they got their run game a little bit going. They didn't break 100 yards, though. I think they ended at around 75 to 80. But the pressure, I feel like Foles and 80% of his dropbacks was getting hit. He was getting pummeled by our D-line. They literally had no answer for him, and he was kind of off his spot most of the game. And a lot of the passes that he completed, honestly, were because receivers were wide open. That's not really, our D-line did their part, but our secondary struggling right now. Our corners especially, which I'm going to get into when I get into the 3 losers of the game. Our D-line showed out, our linebacker showed out, Quan coming in with those hard hits. Like, I've never seen our D-line really ball out like that. JPP finally got on the stat sheet, causing havoc. This is exactly what we envisioned when we were talking about our defensive line all off season. Like, it finally came to fruition and it looks beautiful. Now to get to our 3 losers on the Bucs. Number 1, I'll have to say, is the offensive line. They did okay, don't get me wrong, but they gave up 2 sacks and we had a couple tackles for loss. I feel like Fitzpatrick was rushed off his spot a couple of times. There was a couple of balls he threw that could have been big completions, but because he was off his spot, he kind of had to rush it. I mean, it's not really a bad game. The offensive line did their part and, you know, they helped us get that win, but if I had to pick one of the losers, I would say the offensive line. They didn't play as well as they did last week, but they didn't hurt the team, so, you know, I'm still happy that they played the way they did, but I gotta put them down as one of the losers. Our second loser of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is our secondary. A lot of wide open receivers for Philly running around, a lot of scramble plays by Nick Foles, and he was just tossing them up, and for some reason the Eagles receivers were coming down with it. But the main reason I consider them one of the losers of the game is the injuries. We lost Carlton Davis early on in the game, Chris Conte's out. We're literally playing players that we just picked up, like that one dude we picked up from the Saints this week. We're literally on Justin Evans and Jordan Whitehead as our safeties. Jordan Whitehead looks pretty decent as a rookie, but, you know, teams are going to try to exploit that. I mean, we're literally running thin on corner. I really hope Brent Grimes comes back. I know he has a groin injury and he hasn't really been practicing or playing for the last couple of weeks, so I hope he comes back because we're going to need him next game. The third loser of the game, I have to give it to Catanzaro because of the missed extra point in the beginning of the game, because that could have been the difference between a win and a loss. Had Philly had a little bit more time to get down the field and score, the game would have been over. That's really what made me nervous when it got down to our final drive and it was 3rd down. Before we completed it to Mike Evans, I was like, if we don't get this, they're going to go down, score, win the game because of that stupid extra point. But it held out, so I can't really be mad because it's one of those what if moments, but we can't put ourselves in a position where it comes down to the wire like that. Like, had we had that extra point, it would have been at least a tie, worst case. If the Eagles got down, we would have had a chance in overtime. So I give that to Catanzaro. Now for my prediction for next week. Monday Night Football, nationally televised game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, I know the Steelers have been struggling. They don't have Le'Veon Bell, which is really, really good for us, and I think even if he does come back, he probably won't play next week because he has to catch up and he's probably not in the best football shape, like active game day shape. So I think that's good for us. But the Steelers haven't looked that good these first 2 weeks against Cleveland. They came out with a draw and then they let Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs put a beating on them in Pittsburgh. So coming down to Tampa, Monday Night Football, I think they will be ready. I know with this 3-game start that we had in this tough schedule, the Steelers are the team that I feel like we could lose to, and I'm still kind of 50-50 on it. I think one of the big X factors will be whether Brent Grimes comes back or not, because they got Antonio Brown, who's, in my opinion, the best receiver in the league and one of the greatest of all time. They have Juju, who's no slouch. He gets it done when he needs to, and I feel like we need Brent Grimes to eliminate Antonio Brown. With Brent Grimes playing, Antonio Brown's going to get his catches, of course, and get his yards. I feel like it won't be just a field day for him. Like kind of how last week Michael Thomas had like, what, 20 receptions and 180 yards? I feel like Antonio can have one of those games against the rookie receivers we're playing. So I really hope Brent Grimes comes back. But for this prediction, I will act as if Brent Grimes doesn't come back. If he doesn't come back, I think it's a 50-50 game. Being at home Monday night, our crowd is definitely going to be crazy loud. I know there are going to be a lot of Steelers fans there because they usually travel well and they're like one of the biggest fan bases in the country. But I think we can pull it off. A very, very close game in the fourth quarter. I mean, it's hard to make that prediction. It depends what Steelers we get. Usually they start every season struggling a little bit, then they catch on fire. Antonio Brown hasn't really exploded this season, but he's always in a position where he can explode, so you can't really count on that. But I think the Bucs pull it off by 3 points. If Brent Grimes does come back and will play, I think we win it for sure, and I think we start 3-0. But at this moment, without knowing about Brent Grimes, I think we might pull it off, but I don't want to count on it 100%. Either way, a 3-0 start or a 2-1 start is going to be great for us, considering we haven't had a start this great in forever, literally. And the one thing that I do want to talk about before I end this video is the whole Fitzmagic Jameis Winston thing. Fitzpatrick, I think, earned a starting job as of right now. We'll see how he plays against the Steelers. If he plays even 70% of what he's playing now, I think he starts week 4 against the Bears. I don't think they rush Jameis back. I think they let Jameis and Fitzpatrick battle it out on the bye week, let Jameis get comfortable, get back in the offense and things like that, and then Jameis might start week 6. I forgot who we're playing week 6, but I think Jameis comes back for that. I don't think Fitzpatrick Fitzpatrick should be the starter through the whole season because it is Fitzpatrick, and we know based on his history, he always has a stretch of good games and then bad games. And honestly, we can't rely on him long term because he is, what, 34 years old, 35? So he's not a long-term option for us, but we really got to put Jameis in there and have him start lighting it up like he did in preseason. He played an incredible preseason, and I think it will translate into the season. Let's go Fitzpatrick. If Jameis comes back and is a better option, let's go Jameis. Let's go Tampa Bay. Let's go Bucs Nation. Let's get another win next week. Monday Night Football, nationally televised. Let's put the league on notice and let them know the Bucs aren't no slouch. Anybody who comes down to Tampa, anybody who faces us, they're gonna have to earn their win because this ain't the Bucs team of the last 5 years. We're not gonna bend over for these other teams to walk all over us. They gotta earn it, and they gotta play hard, and they gotta play perfect, and they gotta execute. Because these Bucs, they do not play. We got that swagger back. We got that confidence back. At this point, we're 2-0 in the NFC South. Atlanta's 0-2. The Saints and the Panthers are both 1-1. We win next week. Let's get this going. Let's get this season. I'm hyped. I'm ready. Let's go Tampa Bay. Buc Nation all day, every single day. Let's go.
Our offense tough, our defense rough. Go Bucs, go Bucs. Ain't no other team stopping us. Go Bucs, go Bucs.